Okay, in this video we're going to look at midpoint formula, where it comes from and how we use it. So a midpoint formula is based on the idea that if we have 2 points in space, so x1, y1, and x2, y2, how do we find the point that is in the middle of those 2 points? So we are searching for the midpoint. Now, how we think about it is, well, I'm going to want halfway between the x values and then halfway between the y values as well. So like, again, that idea of making a triangle out of this can be helpful. So we've got the x values, we need to find halfway between them. And the way you find halfway between any two numbers is to find the average of the two numbers. And average, if you remember, is you add up all the terms and divide by the number of terms. So in our case, the average of the x values is going to be x1 plus x2. There's 2 terms, so we're going to divide that by 2. For the y values, same thing. y1 plus y2 all over 2. And our answer is a coordinate, so our midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 all over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 all over 2. So very straightforward. Average of the x's, divide by 2, add up the 2 y's, divide by 2. If you think about it in terms of distance, you could say, okay, what is the distance? So how far is it from x1 to x2? So you'd have x2 minus x1, that'll be your distance. If you divide that by 2, you would end up getting half of the distance, and you could then potentially count over boxes and mark it down. Do the same for the y. You'd say, okay, there's my midpoint. That is certainly one way to do this problem. All right, for example, so we've got point A, it's going to be 6, -4, and point B, minus 10, and then say 5. So this is going to be my x1 and my y1, my x2 and my y2. Plug them into my formula. So the midpoint is going to be x1, 6, plus -10, all over 2, comma, -4 plus 5 all over 2. So the nice thing about this is you will get the actual coordinate out of this when you put it into the formula, as opposed to when we were doing the distance divided by 2, and then you have to add or subtract it from one side. This just kind of takes that third step out of it. So our midpoint is going to be equal to 6 minus 10, which is -4, divided by 2. So we're going to have -2. And then we got -4 plus 5, which is +1, divided by 2. That is going to be a half or 0.5. Either way is fine. So that will be our midpoint between those two. Now we can also look at it visually. So we can say, let's put it on a coordinate plane. We've got -10, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. +5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be B, and 2, 4, 6, 1, 2. So there's our A value. And we're looking for a point that is halfway between the two of those. So we could say, all right, from 6 to -10. So that's back 6 plus another 10, that's 16. So our distance across the bottom is 16. Half of that is 8. So I'm going to count over 8 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know that my point is going to have an x-coordinate of -2. And I can see that where it's going to cross my line, so I can take a pretty good approximation of this, but we'll make sure. Difference of the heights, we've got 4 up and then another 5, so that is 9 total. And half of 9 is 4.5, so 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So then I come horizontally across from there. So I end up with that midpoint of -2, +0.5. And the only other thing that you might get asked is, what about if I have an endpoint and a midpoint, and I need to find the other endpoint? So say we know A is at 2, -5. The midpoint is at 4, 3. And then we're asked, well, where's the other endpoint B? How we can do this, we can do it algebraically. So we can say, all right, well, let's sub in what we know. So the midpoint for the x coordinate is going to be x1 plus x2 all over 2. So subbing in what we know, the midpoint x coordinate is 4, and x1 is 2. So we solve it algebraically. We multiply both sides by 2. So multiplication property equality, they cancel. We've got 8 is equal to 2 plus x. Subtract 2 from both sides. 6 is my x coordinate for the B point. So this is my x2 value. Same thing with the y. So the midpoint for y is y1 plus y2 all over 2. Our y coordinate was 3. Our x coordinate was -5. And we're solving for that other y value. Multiply by 2 on both sides. 6 is equal to -5 plus y2. Add 5 to both sides. 11 is equal to y2. So that would make my B coordinate 6, 11. Or if we were going to try and solve that graphically, same idea. We've got 2, -5, 2, 2, 4, 5. And then our midpoint is 4, 3. So counting boxes, to go from 2, -5 to 4, 3, I need to go over 2 boxes. And then up, so we got 5 and 3 is 8. So we're going up 8 and right 2. And all we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing again. So we're going to go right 2 and up 8. So right 2, we're now at an x coordinate of 6. And then up 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we would be at a y coordinate of 11. So that would make our B value 6, 11.